So this is my leaf spring hanger lift for the 98 to 2011 Rangers. So what it does is it lifts the back of the truck by itself at about 1.25 inches by replacing the other one, the factory one. And if you use it with the lifting shackle, it'll give you 2.5 inches of lift, or you can remove the factory block and keep the same height. So what it does is this piece that's on your frame, it replaces that, so this piece will bolt onto there. And then the mounting hole, I'll show you as we assemble it, how this is lowered 2.5 inches to give you the lift. So these are the 6 pieces on each side, so 2 for each, so 12 pieces total to put it together. The holes that go through here are drilled 9/16 on newer Rangers. I think it was right around 2003, 2004. They made the holes bigger, so if you have one of the newer ones, that hole needs to be drilled out. You can assemble it first with the 9/16 if you want. So that's what you start with. What helps is having a spacer. This is cut 3 inches long, so when you go to weld it, it'll go between them to keep them from pulling tight, to make it easier to put the springs in. And then just a bolt to put through there, a couple washers if you need it, nut to lock it all together. You'll see how that all goes together. So one of the first things is, because of the Ranger, there's a couple of different things on these ones. They're not, these hole spaces up here are different heights. It's like this one, you can see I have it labeled. This one would be the passenger front going that way. And then this one I have labeled as the driver's front, since the hole spacing's different. You can see the same thing on this one, how this left side, the holes are farther apart than that. So like if this was the front of the vehicle, this would be on the driver's side, and this is the front of the vehicle, that would be the passenger side. So we'll get going, put this together, and then I'll show you where to start. So once these are labeled and you got your driver's front on the side on the left with the holes on the wide part, you got one where the passenger front marked where the narrow holes are going towards the front of that vehicle. So the next one is we start putting in this piece. It's the same on each side, but they're mirrored on each other. They gotta go to the front because of where this is. It's a gusset for the spring hanger so that the spring can pass through on the other side. So this has to go towards the front of the vehicle. So what it'll do is it just drops into the slot right there. So I'll get these held in place and then show you on the next one how these both just drop in, as you can see. All right, so the next piece go on. It's gonna be this piece. It's mirrored so it can go either way. What happens is down on this bottom, there's a notch that goes into these slots, and this piece will go into here. So this drops into here like so, and then once that gets pulled over, that's not quite a 90, I just got kind of held up there, but it'll all get pulled in tight. It's a little bit hard once you're doing that. And then this piece, once you get that in, this piece slides into here, and you'll notice there's a difference. There's this cutout and this cutout that are different. So the long solid one goes to this piece here, so then it would be flipped over onto this one right here. So, and then this piece, same thing, this will go back into here too. So I'll get those pieces put in, and then the next piece will be on the side plate here. So I'll get these put together and then I'll drop in the next piece. All right, so I got these all notched into each other. You can see down here how it notches into there, and then it notches into that piece. Same way on this side here, and then you'll see that that notches into there, and those will all get welded in later. So the next piece to go in will be this end piece right here. So you just make sure it goes in here, and then you get it all so it holds into place like so. And then this one goes in right here. So I'll get this one in and then show you how that last piece goes together. All right, so this is the last piece that needs to go on. So it fits in on top of here. And this is where the spacer comes in first. So I just put the spacer in here to help hold it. And then this piece goes on here. And then what I'll do is, once I can get it all lined up and everything perfect, I can use both hands. So we'll end up putting the bolt through the bottom here and helping to hold it all tight. We'll tighten up the nut on the bottom here just to snug it up so it holds it, and I'll show you how that goes. I'll get both of them set up and then go from there. Alright, so once the spacer's in, got the bolt in, I just snug these up by hand. I didn't really tighten them down that much. You don't need to. So here's where they're at, ready to be all tack welded and fully welded. You know, we'll weld down the sides here, then on the back side you can weld all the way down inside of that so it can't pull out. And all these joints every joint gets welded in. You can grind it, smooth it out. So the one key thing is to make sure, like on some of these ones down here, if you do when you put a bead down here, make sure you don't get it too big a bead, because then it might have problems getting these bolts in. So these are 1/2-inch bolt holes for going into the frame. So it'll use a grade 8 1/2-inch bolt. So that's where it goes till now. So then next step, tack it up, weld it, paint it, install it. Alrighty, so I got them tacked up a little bit so you can move around a little bit. So here's the back side where those get welded in top inside of there as well, and ground flush for it to sit against the frame. But to give you an idea on the lift, so basically if I roughly line up the lower holes, give or take about right there, what you'll see is how in relationship to where the factory hole was, I dropped it down 2.5 inches. So if you look at that, it's basically at 2.5 inches. So since that's only one side of the shot or the spring, that'll give you about 1.25 inches, or the shackle hanger that drops down as well. Use that one as well. That's 2.5 inches. So both of them together gives you the 2.5 inches of lift, or you can get rid of the factory block instead. So anyway, so that's pretty much it on these. Just get them all welded up, weld all the joints, weld all the seams, and then paint it, bolt it on. It's 1/2-inch grade 8 bolts to bolt it in, and then once it fully cools after you weld it, you can take that out. It's to help keep this from sucking tight and then making it hard to get your spring in. So anyway, any questions? Let me know. Thanks.